ICN started back in 1984 in Victoria, and the reason we started was to give small businesses an opportunity to link up with projects. Very soon, we spread across the country and onto New Zealand as well. The reason for our success? The reputation that we have built over the years with project owners. Don't forget that we have a very committed and skilled team of consultants across the country working in our local ICN offices. They verify the small businesses that they work with and link them up with the projects. There are no restrictions when it comes to the project side of things. We can work with anyone locally, regionally, and even globally. However, if you happen to be a small business, you need to be registered in Australia or New Zealand.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and to this Unlocking Digital Horizons 2024 ICN ICT Summit. I've got Louise that's with me today in the studio. We're coming to you from Canberra, in case you've just joined us, and we really are looking forward to our next speaker. We've had some great speakers so far from Cisco and Yellow Hat Consulting and Department of Home Affairs. It's been fantastic. So if you haven't seen or you've missed some of the sessions, don't stress. Through your login, you'll be able to actually go back and go and visit any of the sessions and go and watch them in completeness. So without further ado, I'd now like to introduce you to Melissa Hankinson, who's the Director of Service Experience and Improvement at the University of Canberra. Melissa leads the University of Canberra Service Experience and Improvement Unit, designing and leading transformational improvement projects, including the development of the Digital Master Plan, co-design of a new operating model, and the establishment of the Transformation Management Office. Melissa has worked in higher education, domestically and internationally, for over 20 years. And has a strong commitment to creating delightful client and customer experiences while embedding genuine cultures of continuous improvement. She holds a Bachelor of Creative Arts, Master of Management, and a graduate certificate in Tertiary Education Management, Quality Assurance. She chairs the Lean in Higher Education Asia Pacific Network and is a member of the Global Steering Committee, and recently completed a 4-year term as the representative professional staff member on the University of Canberra Council. Please join me in welcoming Melissa to the stage. Thanks, Melissa, and great to have you join us.
Thank you. Thanks, Louise and Mike, and thank you so much for the invitation today to be able to share with you a little bit around our digital master plan, but specifically how we went about designing our digital master plan and how we've put our people at the centre of our master plan and why that's been important to us and what that looks and feels like for us now. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the lands where our Canberra campus is located, and to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution that they make to the life of Canberra and the region, and also to acknowledge all other First Nations peoples on whose lands we're gathering today. So a little bit about the University of Canberra. We're a university for the professions, so we're dedicated to providing immersive student experiences that are really focused on employability outcomes. So in 2023, we had about 17,500 students from Australia and 100 other countries studying as part of our diverse community. We've got about 1,200 staff, and we deliver education from a couple of different locations. So Canberra is our main base, but also through Brisbane, Sydney, and a couple of international locations, including Singapore and Hong Kong. We are ranked in the top 5 universities in the world for reducing inequalities. We're in the top 21% of universities in the world, and we're ranked #1 in the Australian Capital Territory for full-time employment and teaching quality. Now, what you can see here on the screen is our yarning circle, which explains our current strategic plan. So this is our connected decadal strategy, and it sets out a really clear ambition for UC to be a global leader in driving equality of opportunity. We launched this plan in 2022. Around the yarning circle, you can see all of our major strategic programs, and the one I'm going to talk about today is the one that's called Digital Together. So Digital Together, through our digital master plan, which is our guide to deliver digital together, is one of our key strategic initiatives. And it's really vital to achieving the mission of being that driver of equality of opportunity. Because what we're trying to do within Digital Together is to really empower connected experiences. So to give you a sense, as I said, it's all about boosting experience. It's not just about technology, it's really about the experiences of our people. And when we talk about our people, we mean our students, we mean our staff, and we need our broader community that we work and play and research and liaise with. And what we're really focused on is enhancing the way that we work together, how we're researching and how we're studying. So Digital Master Plan is our 10-year plan to really deliver on those objectives for our Digital Together program. Now, I've said the word digital a couple of times there, so I want to talk and explain a little bit about what we mean by digital when we talk at UC. So essentially, it's driven by our people. So it's about providing our people with the tools and the technology that they need to enable the processes, the ways of working that they require, which should be then following them to succeed, all informed by data. So we're bringing together in our descriptions of digital data, people, processes, tools, and technology all together. So we don't just talk about technology or data, we talk about that full ecosystem. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit through the process that we went through to actually design our digital master plan. Now, I will say at the beginning, it took us 12 months. And when we initially said we need 12 months to design our plan, a number of people said, oh, can't you just like rock that out in a month or so? Like, why do you actually need 12 months? And we needed 12 months because we had to bring our people on the journey with us. So the first thing that we did we took 3 phases, and the first phase was really around building that awareness, the awareness of what is digital. As I said on the first slide, digital is really bringing together our people, our processes, our technology, and our data. So we were building awareness and making sure that we actually had buy-in from our stakeholders so that they understood the activities, why we actually needed a digital master plan, how the project was going to run, and what the timelines were going to be. We then moved straight into discovery, and discovery was essentially asking all of our people, what do you need to succeed now, next, and beyond? We underpinned this through reviewing existing materials. We've done a lot of surveying of staff previously to understand satisfaction points and pain points. We held workshops, we held discussions, we had surveys. And the first phase was really focused on developing our principles, our objectives, and our key results, so our OKRs. We underpin this as well by quite an extensive external environment scan to understand how other organisations, not just education organisations, but how other organisations were beginning to plan for the longer term in digital. The third section of phase 1 was all about playback. So a really important part of co-design is to listen and to play back. And we play back to make sure that what we've captured actually reflects what our people were intending to tell us. And so the question through this whole section was around, do you see what you need to succeed in how we've laid out our principles and our OKRs? So yet another touch point for people to come in and let us know how if we were capturing their voices. We then moved into phase 2. Phase 2 was then all around, well, we've got our principles, our objectives, our key results for our plan. What are the actual initiatives or projects that we need to run to deliver on those? Okay, so we spent probably between April and October of last year, again, workshops, discussions, online discussion boards, Padlets, surveys. And what we were trying to draw out here from our community was, okay, you might know what you need now. So people were very clear about what they needed now and what they really needed. This came through so clearly. I need access to data and I need systems to be integrated. They were the top 2 things that kept coming through. But what we were trying to get them to think about was, what's the future of higher education And if you can understand what the future of higher education might look like, let's ask that question again. What are you going to need to succeed in that future of higher education? Let's focus on the beyond. We then went through another piece of playback, ensuring that we had captured all of the initiatives, all of the activities that our communities believed that we needed to actually deliver on our OKRs. And then we went through a process with our faculties and our business units to talk about how do we prioritise this. We had hundreds of different initiatives that everybody wanted and everybody felt we needed to do. So we went through a very formalised approach to get our faculties and our business units to really call out which are the top ones for you, which will have the biggest impact for you, but also let's look at this through the lens of our people more broadly and our organisations. Which ones will have the biggest impact for our students, improving the experiences of our students, and then more broadly, our staff population. We then went through approval processes. So we had to seek approval from our university council, which is essentially like our board, and they've approved our 10-year plan and also given us a funding envelope for the first 3 years of our plan, which is fabulous, which we have now kicked off delivery for. So I've talked about how we got there. What does it actually look like? Okay. So this helps you to probably understand what it looks like on a page. So this is the strategy on a page. We essentially across the top have our different principles, our 6 principles. And the principles are beautiful in the way that they almost reflect or mirror the experience that a staff member or a student will have as their life cycle through the university. The first one that's hugely important to us, if you think back to what I talked around about our strategy, is equal opportunity. Everyone has the opportunity to participate. Once we've welcomed you in, the second one is then, well, we have an obligation to keep you safe and secure. This is both digital safety, physical safety, but we need to provide environments for you to learn and research in where you are safe and secure. The third principle is, and we need to be equipping and enabling you with the tools that you need to succeed. Our fourth principle is then around connection. Because, yeah, you might be able to succeed in your silo, but success is so much more powerful when you're connected with your community. Our fifth one, which came through really, really clearly and loudly from our community, was around transparency. So we've committed to be as transparent as we possibly can, particularly around sharing data, ensuring that we've got quite visible, transparent data governance arrangements in place. And then our sixth one is our real aspirational principle, which is really around supporting you not just to succeed, but to excel. How can we give you the space and the time to actually work out and get to that point where you can feel that you're thriving? You can see underneath the principles, we have split our 10-year plan into 3 phases. Our first phase, which we're in year 1 of now, is around stabilising. This is doing some really boring things like dealing with tech legacy debt, but also trying to, at the same time, build up digital skills for our staff and our students. Phase 2 becomes optimise years 4 and 5, and then thrive sits towards the back end, years 6 to 10. I talked about objectives and key results, 18 objectives, 50 key results. We've also then started to talk around capabilities that we believe that both our staff and our students should be developing through the life cycle of this plan, and super programs to almost give us some buckets to describe the 157 initiatives that we've ended up with on that 10-year plan. It's also important that I'll just point out here, we've designed the plan to be as agile and flexible as possible. So while we have 157 initiatives at the moment, we are moving things backwards and forwards as needs arise. We've also built space into the plan. So as new technologies or new requirements are emerging, they can be quite easily brought into the plan. So it's not like we've fixed a 10-year timeline, because I think it would be incredibly difficult to think about a digital requirement now that might be there in 10 years' time. So this is a very busy slide, but it gives you a sense of, I think it's 68 initiatives that have been endorsed and for the first 3 years. You can see those super programs across there, which I called out earlier. Some of them are technology-based, but important for us is one around service culture. There's things around digital and data modernisation, which speak to that legacy component that we're trying to work out at the minute, but also some things around AI. So the spaces that we know we need to be doing a lot more in that space. The light blue is year 1, the dark blue is year 2, and then year 3 are the slightly greener ones there. This is a slightly easier to read slide, and this actually speaks to all of the things that we currently have underway as part of year 1. So my favourite one is that top one there, the curriculum management solution. So this looks at how we actually manage curriculum, or the courses or the units that we teach, from that moment where an academic has an idea through to development, approval, marketing, delivery, modification, review modification, and then the whole way through to teaching out and closure. And also picks up how we communicate and how we market our courses. So this is important to us at the moment because we're doing all of this very manually. So this is a great project that is looking at giving us a foundational tech platform, but also giving us the skills and the capability to streamline our processes and make it something that is actually not a process that our academics rail against, but one is that easy and intuitive, and in a way will actually release time for them so that they can focus more on the value add components of their roles, which really is working with our students. Probably one of the other ones which I would just call out there as well is our operating model piece of work. So you might have seen on that front slide, one of the key objectives that we have under our Digital Together program is to redesign the university's operating model. And this is all about ensuring that we are organising and orchestrating all of the resources that we have available to us at the university to best support the delivery of teaching and research, and achieving the objectives of our connected strategy. So this is a project we kicked off in August last year. And so we're really looking at the moment, how can we base the way that our organisation is organised on those key moments that matter for our people as they move through their life cycles. So that gives you a sense that this is not just technology focused, but it really is about how we make a huge difference to all of the people in our communities. I'm just going to move now. One of the really important things for us is we have involved our people in the development of the Digital Master Plan throughout all of last year, and now through these various initiatives that we're beginning to run. It's been really important for us to live that transparency principle. So rather than having a big splash last year and then launching our plan earlier this year and then going into hiding, what we've committed to doing is ensuring that we are providing regular updates to our community about the progress and the benefits that we're realising as part of the Digital Master Plan. So there's a couple of different things here. We have published version 1 of the Digital Master Plan, which is available on our website for everyone to look at. It speaks to the principles, the known objectives, but also how we're going to govern the Digital Master Plan. This is a really important component. And as part of our work with our Transformation Management Office, we've now set up a new internal governance mechanism that supports our entire connected strategy. So for Digital Together, for our Digital Master Plan, we have a steering committee, which brings together representatives from across the university, including capturing a student voice. And that group is tasked with determining if opportunity briefs or business cases that are coming through that are linked to initiatives in the Digital Master Plan are fit for purpose, if they're the right thing for us to do at the moment, and also to help us prioritise, to determine which of these should be coming in and out. On the previous slide, you could see, I'll just move back, on the right-hand side, there's some categories of initiatives that are underneath this prioritised from front door request. They're all initiatives that have come through that weren't necessarily sitting on the digital master plan when it was approved last year, but these are new pieces with emerging needs that either have a time base or a compliance requirement. And so we've had to pick them up and absorb them into year one. And in doing so, the steering committee has then taken a view on how we prioritise out some initiatives that might have been sitting in year one that are now getting moved to year two or year three or year four. And you can also see there's two there which have moved forward into year one from year two and year three. So over the life cycle of the 10 years, things will be moving around and new things might be coming up as well. Just back onto the transparency. So we've also developed for our community a communications tool, which really allows them to jump in and understand all of the different initiatives that are on the plan. And we've also released a dashboard. So we had some amazing students who came and worked as part of our digital master plan project last year. And one of them built for us essentially a VR dashboard, but it means that any member of the university community can log in at any point in time, go, I'm interested in this particular initiative. Can you tell me where it's at? And our latest project materials and updates will then be available for them to see. So they don't have to wait until we do formal reporting. They can jump in at any point in time and do that self-service updating on how we're progressing with our different initiatives. So I'll probably just leave it there. I think I've walked through the process. But I'm very happy to answer. I can see some questions have been coming through, so I'm very happy to answer those or to take any additional questions.
Melissa, thank you so much. That was very informative. And you're right, there have been a couple of questions coming through, so we'll just head straight into those. The first one is, how do you ensure that the master plan remains adaptable? And I think you've kind of covered it off, and future-proof in the face of rapidly changing technology trends?
It's such a great question, because it's really difficult to try and build a 10-year plan for anything at the moment, let alone something that's working in the technology and data or AI space at the moment. There's a couple of strategies which are sitting underneath the digital master plan. We have technology and platform strategy, we have a data strategy, data governance strategy, we have our integration strategy and our multi-cloud platform strategy. So we're using these strategies, which are either in development or being refreshed at the moment, to ensure that the digital master plan is able to realise some of those. So every 6 months or so, we'll be going through and doing a review of our objectives and our key results to make sure that they're still fit for purpose. And I think we're quite open to understanding that probably in 2 years' time, some of the key results that we may have called out as important may no longer be issues, but there may be things that have come through our technology strategy or our data governance strategy or our cybersecurity strategy that we really need to be focused on. I probably think our cybersecurity strategy will be driving us a fair way there. But there's some other things we also need to keep an eye on. So we do a lot of surveying for staff satisfaction and staff engagement. So given my background, I'm really, really committed to ensuring that the experience of our people is not lost and that our plan doesn't just purely become around compliance or moving things to the cloud or, you know, ensuring that we have a data governance framework, because, I mean, that's all very important, but it comes back to our people. We have a human-centred approach to our master plan, and we need to keep that lens on any amendments that we do over time.
Yeah, that's actually quite an interesting point that you just made, and I think it's been a consistent sort of point throughout the day, hasn't it, Louise, where bringing the people on the journey has been a critical element, but also just giving them that insight into that these are tools that can help you in delivering on your requirements. With strategy being my wheelhouse, I suppose I'm really interested to understand, and it's certainly been an evolution for us in the way that we actually put our strategies together and how we keep people engaged. I know for us, we've got a program where we've got strategic milestones that we actually map out against each of the key fundamentals with regards to our strategy plan. how do you actually manage that process? Because I know often it's a set and forget, right? And that was our challenge a number of years back before we implemented these strategic milestones. But how do you keep that wheel turning so that the evolution is trackable, and key people have got responsibilities to actually ensure that those strategic milestones are being met?
It's such a good question, because it is so easy to just set and forget and then just get sucked into your business as usual or your operational work.
Yeah.
I mentioned that we've set up an internal governance approach for the broader connected strategy. So each of our strategic programs around the Yarning Circle has got a steering committee. Our steering committee, a Digital Together steering committee, which I chair, meets every 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks, we're reviewing project highlights, we're looking at opportunity briefs, we're looking at the pipeline of work. We have some quite clear milestones that we have articulated as well for the program. So the first 3 months are really just getting everything moving, but it's becoming more around benefits realisation and really being able to demonstrate, are we delivering the benefits that we said we would? So we've got some clear markers and KPIs that we need to meet at the end of this year, the end of year 2, and then also for the end of year 3. We also have, to keep us on our toes, we have funding for our first 3 years. So middle of next year, we're going to need to start forming our business case and our ask for years 4 and 5. So that funding envelope that we'll be seeking then. So that also ensures that we're keeping a really close eye on the milestones and our KPIs to make sure that we're delivering, so that when we do go and say, right, we're ready for year 4 and 5, we've got a really strong track record. So we've delivered this, this is the next component we need to do. We've also just put in place 6 monthly reporting up to our board, our council, that looks at how the different programs are feeding into or how they're being used to leverage university strategic KPIs, and also the broader objectives that we have within that connected strategy around connected to Canberra, connected to life, and that piece around equality of opportunity. But you have to be so intentional, otherwise it's very easy to just put it to one side.
Yeah, exactly. We feel your pain. There's one last question from Hamilton, and it says, is your learning management system flexible and updatable? And I think I know the answer, but happy to hear your point of view on that.
So our learning management system that we use at the moment, which is purely for curriculum and for delivering curriculum, so this is not the curriculum management system that I was talking about. We're currently using Canvas, which we have integrated into millions of different other systems, including our student management system and our finance system and various learning systems. It's been really interesting to look at, or to even contemplate, the future of learning management systems, which we did a little bit of during sort of that second and third phase where we're thinking about the future of higher education. There's some players in the market who are making moves to almost provide you with an ecosystem where you don't need a standalone learning management system. So if you think about, say, Google Classrooms or Microsoft, they're moving in a way that, potentially in a couple of years' time, you may not actually need a separate standalone system. So at the moment, it's a great question, Hamilton. At the moment, we're getting our flexibility and adaptability by using plugins, trying to integrate our systems, our Canvas, with as many things as possibly can. But we are actively monitoring what the future of learning management and learning management tools is going to be over the next sort of 5 years.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Melissa. And I think those are all the questions. Louise?
It is. So thank you so much, Melissa. That has been so informative, and we will watch with interest as you progress through your master plan implementation phase.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. So our next session that's coming up is with Alex Bilby-Clark, who's the Group Manager of Audio at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. And we'll be getting to that shortly. Don't forget that you can keep the conversation going on your socials with hashtag ICN event. And and don't forget to jump into the booths where you can visit our sponsors and have a bit of a conversation. We've also got resources that are available for you to access, and we have our people available to chat to you about all things ICN. So don't forget that you can access those booths and have a chat with anybody throughout the day. Thank you. We're going to go to a short break, and we will see you soon for the next session.